Episode 3, The Offer. When she woke up, Nova stared at the ceiling, trying to figure out where she was. Her head was buzzing. Afternoon naps are somehow the best and the worst thing. She raised herself on her elbows to take a look at the sofa. It was empty. She wanted to stay in bed, spend the rest of the day doing nothing and not thinking about anything. Turn on some stupid show and just stare at the TV. After entertaining the stream for a minute or two, the witch got up, made herself presentable, put in her contacts, and went downstairs towards the quiet conversations and the smell of spices. Didi and Onyx were sitting at the tables and smiled at her when she entered. "Hello, Sleeping Beauty. I think I'm more of a Maleficent." Nova sat down on a chair. The conversation didn't start right away. Didi was watching television. The dim light of the screen flashed across her face, emphasizing her features and the expression frozen on them. Sadness, no louder than a whisper. "Missing home." Scott said Onyx before returning her gaze to the show. The volume was turned down almost all the way, but Nova heard the main characters arguing. She liked the language they spoke. She assumed it had to be Igbo. Didi's lips twitched in a brave smile. "Of course. I miss home always." "Where were you born?" "Inugu. Grew up and lived there most of my life, too." She sighed, closing her eyes. "In Nigeria, others live differently." Might be interesting to talk to her about this. You know what? Why not? Are you saying that the Magistrum's influence is not as strong there? "Oh no. It's all about the society. By the time the War of Fire started, part of Africa had already been colonized." The West Coast by the Portuguese? "I see you're into history." "I worked in a museum. I'm supposed to be. But it's one thing to read something in a book and another to hear about it from someone who was born there. So the war begins, part of Africa's colonized." "Yes. Although the influence of Christianity on the continent had not reached its peak, there were already some small Catholic communities. The hunt began in Africa as well, but it took on slightly different form. Society there became divided over the general hysteria surrounding the magic. The tribes that thought magical powers could only come from making a deal with evil spirits joined the missionaries, and rose up against the people that respected sorcerers and witches and considered them important members of society." "Like a civil war?" She nodded. "Sort of. There were no obvious winners, of course, but over the time, the advantage seemed to shift to the side of the others. However, the whole thing soon faded into the background because even before the War of Fire could end, colonization resumed. As a nation, we were exhausted by what was happening. The colonizers didn't hesitate to take advantage of that. That led our people to unite against a common enemy. It didn't matter whether you were an other or ordinary. The only important thing was to protect our land, the land of our ancestors. Yet only in Ethiopia and Liberia managed to remain independent." She shook her head. "But back to the present. The Magisterium works the same way all around the world. It is one big organization, after all. It doesn't matter if you're in Hong Kong, Berlin, or Khartoum. The punishments for violating the code are all the same. However, because of the specifics of what happened during the war in Africa, our society is more close-knit and solid. In Italy, even more so in Rome, and if you so much as give an ordinary a wrong look, they'll merely call the Magisterium in most cases. There's more prejudice and distrust towards us here, more fear. It's different in my home." "Do you mean to say that ordinaries there don't turn in others there?" Well, I wouldn't generalize it to that. You can find intolerant people everywhere, of course, but like you can find kind-hearted people everywhere. But if everything is better in Inagu, and if you miss home so much, why did you come here? She touches the cross on her nag. Because it's my purpose. I can be useful by harboring others. I'm not needed at home in ways that I'm needed here. I miss Nigeria, but I know it'd be wrong to go back. And selfish. Does that make sense? Yeah, I guess so. With Dee Dee's attention now devoted to the show, Nova began listening to Onyx's stories about different shelters from others in Rome and beyond. She looked at the clock from time to time. Finally, she got up. It's time. Dee Dee blinked a couple times, returning to the real world. Oh, really? She got up and went to one of the doors hidden behind a curtain. All right, Nova, here. You'll go out into the courtyard. A car should be waiting for you. And what if they're late? She's never late. All right. She clasped her hands behind her back. Well, I'm off. Thank you for your hospitality, Dee Dee. It was nice to meet you. Oh, you're welcome, Nova. Remember that you're always welcome here. Goodbye. A cool breeze caressed her face, and the witch slowly inhaled. As Onyx promised, there was a black car with tinted windows waiting for her. My life is becoming more and more like a strange movie each day. The Moon Harris path. And with that thought in mind, she went to the car and opened the back door. A woman was looking at her. Nova froze, studying her. The other side. The witch blinked and closed the door. She went around the car and got in. Nice interior. It was cold inside, smelled of mint. The smell gave her a boost of energy, but Nova couldn't say she liked it. It was too bright and intrusive. There, let's go. Nova met her eyes in the rearview mirror, but she was the one driving. Her dark eyes burned as if warning against rash actions. Her strong hands clenched the steering wheel, straining her muscles. I'd never believe she's just a driver. The car started moving. The woman sitting next to her crossed her legs and spoke without facing Nova. Don't worry, you're safe. Okay. The woman nodded. She held out her hand. My name is Nina. Nina, did you mention a name beginning with Vess? Nova shook Nina's hand. It was unexpectedly cold, like stone. Nice to meet you. Don't be so quick to judge. Why do you... Later. We're almost there. Her tone broke no objections, so the rest of the short ride passed in complete silence. Soon, Pierre parked the car near a skyscraper in the business district of Rome. Nova was about to open the door, but Nina stopped her. You need to change your clothing. What's wrong with my clothes? Too flashy. It suits you well, but I'd like to avoid unnecessary attention. Well, in that case, if my outfit won't do, you can change it. Good. I'm ready. Nova didn't know what magic to expect, so she just closed her eyes and kept still. Would Nina change her entire outfit, or just the colors, or maybe you're rustling but didn't feel anything? How powerful witch must you be to do magic so discreetly? What are you doing? Nova opened her eyes. Her outfit hadn't changed, so she stared blankly at Nina. She had a paper bag on her lap. I thought you were gonna use presents to change your clothes. I'm not in the habit of wasting resources. She handed the younger woman the bag, which held a neatly folded outfit. BA and I will be waiting outside. Nina left right away. She made sure to flash a distrustful look at Nova first. And there I was, thinking I was gonna see some first-class magic. She took out the clothing. Subordinate. I don't know, I still like the outfit, it's kinda nice. Moving on, let's see what else. Assistant. Confidant. This app's gonna be the death of me because of black. Chairwoman. Buy all for 54. Okay, I'm gonna do the black one. Leave me alone. Current hairstyle. She leaned back warily after finishing changing. It was no easy task given the car's cramped interior. The clothes fit well. Nova wondered if Nina had cast some kind of spell on them beforehand to achieve that. She made sure everything was fine and stepped outside. The witch exhaled with relief, grateful to be rid of the smell that seemed to have frozen her insides. Great. Here, take this. She held out a small white pill. After some hesitation, Nova accepted it. I don't suppose you guessed that I have a headache and decided to give me some ibuprofen? Nina shook her head. There is a presence detector installed at the entrance to this building. What? That's a thing? It is now. Welcome to the 21st century. So far, technologies like this are only available to a very small circle. They're still at the prototype stage, so they malfunction and give false readings from time to time. The owner of the complex recently got into a bit of a situation with an other. He wasn't a fan of others to begin with, and now he's even more paranoid. Hence the decision to strengthen the security everywhere, including private entrances. This... He pointed at the pill that Nova was holding. It will drown out your presence. It will take effect 2 seconds after you take it and last for 6 seconds total. Calculate the time. I'll go first. Don't mind what I'm doing. My presence is stronger, so I have to use stronger means. Wait. What happens if I get busted? Nina lifted her chin. They will run your information through the database, find out who you are, and then back to prison, I suppose. Nina turned around and walked towards the skyscraper. Her gut was so smooth, polished, that it made Nova straighten her own shoulders as she hurried after her. I'll take the pill. Right in it. Crushing the pill with her teeth, she shuddered. It was disgusting, as if she had just swallowed a glass of mud from a swamp. Her insides stuck together, turning into mush. Tears filled her eyes. Nina's silhouette turned into a blur, but she told herself to suck it up and walk. I can't fail. Breathing through her nose, Nova tried to hide that all she wanted to do was lie down and die. Jesus, man, that must be a pill. The foliage is moving in the vase. She noticed the guard frowning at her, and then the detector went off. The calculations were incorrect. It was right at the door! It takes 2 seconds for the pill to start working. Her eyes darted from the guard, who already jumped up from his seat, to Nina's impenetrable expression, and Nova did the first thing that came to mind. She began to scream. What does that mean? Signora, the device has detected presence. Let me. What, presence in me? How dare you? Signore? She crossed the hall in 2 steps and reached the counter, slamming her hands on it. The thing of yours is trying to say that I'm one of those freaks? The guard's lips moved as he tried to get a word in, but she decided she wouldn't let him. Do you even realize what kind of accusation you're making? Nina came over and put a hand on her back. Oh, Sarah, I'm so sorry. It happens. This stupid thing's not working properly yet. We sincerely apologize, Signora. This is a forced measure, and Order from Signor Galli. I just need to take a look at your ID. I'll run your name through the Magistrum database, and that's it. You can carry on with your night. It won't take longer than a minute. Nova took a deep breath, preparing to complain even louder for lack of better options. However, before she could say anything, a calm voice interrupted her. I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't think you'd have to deal with all of this. Just show him your ID. But I'm not. Catching her meaningful look, Nova started fumbling in her pockets until she found a small card. Oh, here it is. As soon as she took out the card, Nina snatched it out of her hand, then handed it to the guard. He accepted it, nodded his head, and typed the name into the computer. Well, that's it. Signora Armaci. Sorry for the inconvenience, you're good to go. Signora Armaci took her ID card and put it in her pocket. I'm guessing Nina cast a spell. Thank you, Angelo. Nina took her companion by the arm and led her towards the elevators. You know, I would have just counted 1, 2, and then stepped through the thing, but... Okay, make it complicated. A few steps away from the building was probably the right option. Nova exhaled when the door closed behind them. As soon as that happened, an invisible wave of energy swept through the room. I have to take measures so no one can eavesdrop. There is only one... This is the only place where I can speak freely, which is why I brought you here, despite all the complications. I see. The younger woman nodded, putting her hand in her pocket, and frowned when she felt something like fine dust on her fingers. Ashes? Oh yeah. Transformational charm. Your ID was some restaurant's business card. Did you enchant it when you snatched it from me? Yes, but if the spell is cast the way I cast it, in a hurry and not said out loud, the effect subsides very soon, and when that happens, the object destroys itself. Fortunately, that was enough for our purposes. Nina threw her bag on the sofa and took off her heels. She went to the globe on the table and opened it to take out a bottle of brandy. Do you want a drink? No thanks, I don't drink. Nina nodded and poured herself a glass. Wow, we can actually see the bottles and whatnot in the globe. That's kind of cool. Nina sat down in the chair behind the desk, and her guest settled in the chair in front of it. The air in the office was cool and fresh. They spent some time in silence. Nova looked around. Everything here spoke of prosperity, success, expensive furniture, luxurious decor, panoramic windows, even the bottles of alcohol. You're posing as an ordinary, right? Yes. I wouldn't have been able to achieve even a third of what I have achieved otherwise. Many others have to live like this if they want to make it. Isn't it funny? We have to hide in order to be noticed. Your success is impressive. Thank you. Shall we get down to business? I'll start by introducing myself again. I'm Vesper. I hope you forgive me for my little lie. If you'd accidentally mentioned my name in front of Angelo, my cover would have been compromised. Yes, I understand. Nova tried to hide her true emotions. Bingo. Vesper. My espionage skills proved to be useful after all. She was getting some book for her, an important book, so much so that to get to it, he deliberately committed a crime and went to prison. I must admit I am somewhat disappointed. I thought you'd do a better job of proving yourself. All you had to do was calculate the timing. Nova was silent. There was no point in making excuses. She did make a mistake. A mistake that it seemed like could ruin all of her plans and goals. Low status path. Ugh, whatever. It makes me doubt my own decision to invite you here. I need capable people I can rely on. The younger witch dared to interrupt. I improvised and tried to adapt to the situation. Yes, but if I hadn't been there, it would have hardly fit in so well. Nova nodded. She knew she couldn't argue with that. But you're right, you did find a way to get out of a bind. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and hope that today's blunder was nothing more than a mishap. Phew. Vesper took another sip of her brandy. When Shin told me he'd met a time catcher in the Vatican catacombs, I didn't believe it at first. You do know how rare your gift is, right? Yes, the chance of being chosen by the presence is a 3%, I think. And out of those 3%, the chance of being born a catcher is less than 1 in a million. Her tone remained even, but Nova could hear a hint of eagerness in her voice. How many of you are walking on the earth now? 5, 6? Nova shrugged. I guess. Vesper leaned back on her chair, gaze fixed on the ceiling. You didn't get initiated because you wanted to blend in with the crowd so that you could avoid standing out and live like an ordinary. Nova nodded. I just didn't want to get into trouble. See, that's the whole point. We can't get ourselves... because being us means getting into trouble. I, for instance, dreamed of building houses since I was a child. I did my best, I worked hard, until I finally reached the limit put on me by the Magistrum and Society. All the doors were closed for me, no matter how capable or talented I might be, and why? Because I'm a witch, a freak. Dangerous. She set her drink down and put her hands together. So I began pretending like you, hiding under everyone's noses. And perhaps I should just be grateful that it worked out for me so far. I have my own agency, money, power. Most others don't even dare to dream about anything like this. Her eyes flashed with sadness that almost immediately distorted into quiet, creeping anger. But I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of not being able to just be myself. I'm tired of us being perceived as second-rate insignificant. Vesper shook her head and then took another sip of alcohol, and when her eyes met again, Nova shivered from the intensity of her gaze. And you? Knows her way with words. This one's a tough one. So, I'll go say that she has a way with words. You're a great orator. Is it a compliment or an insult? I don't know. It's just that as I was listening to you, I couldn't help but think that many politicians sound the same way. An insult, then. That's alright, I know what you mean. In the end, I really am a very principled woman. I believe in my ideals. And I also believe they'd make the world a better place. It's not that simple. What's complicated about... She stopped herself. Sorry, yes, of course, it's not simple. Change is always scary, but it's necessary. Both for others and ordinaries, regardless of whether they understand it or not. Vesper, what's all this about? What do you want from me? I can't tell you that yet. Nova had sensed the wave of anticipation intensifying as she was getting closer to what she wanted, only for it to be subsided and leaving behind a deep sense of disappointment. She folded her arms across her chest. I don't like being led by the nose. All the surveillance, secrecy, I'm not really into beating around the bush. I prefer directness, honesty, and if you can't give that to me... I can't, and I have a very clear reason for that. Which is... it would be foolish and short-sighted. I don't know if I can trust you yet. Okay, in that case, what's in it for me? You need me because of my gift, because you want to use it for whatever purpose. But what can you give me? Vesper spread her hands. Money, comfort, a safe place to stay. You are still wanted, after all. An escape from loneliness. Nova didn't respond right away. Who said I didn't enjoy being alone? Maybe I could have handled everything myself. Maybe or maybe not. Can you Remind me how long it took the Magistrum to find your place? She let the question hang in the air to make a point, and then concluded, "It's up to you, Nova." "And if I refuse, you're just gonna let me go? Aren't you afraid that'll tell the Magistrum about who you really are? That's your plotting something, it seems." Vasper gave her a gentle, almost condescending smile. "I can't stop you from speaking out, of course. What I can do, though, is advise you to remember that all actions have consequences." "Well, I'll show her that I'm someone to be reckoned with, too." I'm just gonna go with that makes sense. She's obviously not playing games here. Nova gave herself some time to think until she finally decided to ask, "And how exactly am I supposed to show I can be trusted?" "Oh, it's going to take time. For now, just join us. Get to know the others, try to complete a couple assignments." What kind of assignments, I wonder? Something like infiltrating the Vatican to steal some artifact, perhaps? Nova closed her eyes, pretending to weigh the pros and cons, but truly she knew she wouldn't refuse. She couldn't. "Okay." Vesper gave her a smile and a nod. "In that case, I have a gift for you." She opened the desk drawer and whispered a spell, and Vesper held out a phone. I mean, there's no real options here. It's not like I can refuse. "Oh, cool. You should have told me right away I'd be getting a phone if I agreed. What does it do?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, how do I activate it? Some kind of spell or something?" "How does it work?" "You don't know how to use a phone." "Oh. It's just a phone?" For the first time, Vesper allowed herself a short laugh. "Do you think everything around here is enchanted?" "I had hoped so." "Well, sorry to disappoint. This is for communication. All necessary numbers are already saved." "Thank you. But can't others communicate with each other through presence?" "They can, but why waste resources if you can avoid it? Besides, technology is also a kind of magic." She glanced at the clock. "I have a little more time. Would you care to demonstrate your abilities? I changed something in here a minute ago. Try to find what it was." Okay." Taking a deep breath, she ran her hand through the air, entering the Fata Morgana. The silence grew deeper. Right now, the room looks like this. Rewind time. Nova shook her head, cautiously reaching further. And a little earlier, it was like this. Look to the left. I hate you. Look to the center. She came back to the present. "Well, you changed the pillow on the sofa, the flower in the vase, the painting, the flowers in the vase. The white roses turned black." Vesper smiled. "Yes, well done. Thank God for an eidetic memory. Moving on." "Although it was extremely easy task, so I didn't expect any other outcome. After initiation, even more opportunities will open up for you." Nova blinked once, twice, 3 times, but didn't say anything. Vesper crossed her legs, noticing but ignoring the reaction of the other woman, and decided to change the subject. "Do you want me to teach you a useful spell?" I think I do. You don't want to show sign of weakness, I don't think. If it's something simple, try calling me. Having found her contact on the phone, Nova pressed the call button. Vesper began to whisper at that moment, and the interference filled the line. Wow. How long can it last? When the woman relaxed her focus, the phone came back to life, though not instantly. I can hold it for quite some time, if I don't get distracted. You won't be able to do that yet, but you can buy a couple of minutes. So, you start as always, concentrate, take a deep breath, and then... So she's not going to tell us. Kind of sad. It took Nova some time to achieve success, but Vesper was a patient teacher. In the end, when she finally got it, she smiled broadly. What can I use this on? Only small electronic devices. Phones, cameras, radios. But don't try to drown out something that absorbs or produces a large amount of energy. Remember that you are not omnipotent, and even presence has to account for physics. If the device uses too much power, it won't be affected by magic, and that might be painful for you. So basically a small EMP, basically. I see. I'll remember that, thank you. Nova was about to ask a question, but was interrupted by a strange sound coming from behind her. Turning around, she saw Shin in the middle of the office. There was no trace of the wounds that he got in the Vatican. Be silent. He shook his hands as if getting rid of the remnants of magic after teleportation. I was already beginning to doubt you'd show up. Have I ever stood you up? No, of course not. Coming closer to the desk and leaning on it with one hand, Shin cast a sidelong glance at the younger witch. Then he croaked. Is she in? I'm right here, you know. Yes, she is. The of his made it incredibly hard to tell whether he approved of it or was extremely dissatisfied. Sniffing, the warlock grimaced slyly, putting his palm to his stomach. Bess, do you have any ginseng? He calls her by a nickname. Must mean they're close. Vesper raised her eyebrows in surprise, but opened the desk drawer and began sorting through its contents. You know that I don't keep that around here. Thought I'd ask. She shook her head. I have morale root. I just want to recuperate, not get ready for combat. It's fine, I'll live. Is everything okay in the nest? Yes. Good. She looked at the younger woman. Thank you for the talk. Shin will escort you. Where? Home. Nova felt the corners of her lips go up involuntarily. Will I have to meet him somewhere? Will we portal? Meet who? Shin will. You'll go out, meet him in the park nearby, turn right once you exit the building. I'll be waiting on the bench. Angelo saw you and put your fake name in the visitor's books, so you need him to see you leave as well. Right, I forgot. Okay. I have one more thing to do today. You can tag along if you want, but if you're tired, I'll drop you off first. 70 diamonds. The diamond choice will improve your friendship with and romance with Shin. I would like to go home. Whatever you say. Nova rose from her seat. It's time. Thank Vesper. Vesper, thank you. For your time and for the offer to be a part of this. To her surprise, the older witch stood up and shook her hand. I'm sure we'll both be pleased with this collaboration. After leaving the building, Nova found Shen. He led her into an unfamiliar part of the already unfamiliar tunnels with their cool depths that returned every rustle as an echo. We aren't that far from the nest, so I could teleport, but we'll walk. Remember the way? Wouldn't hurt to know how to get to there from here. The witch nodded, and they set off as expected. Shen wasn't planning on starting a conversation, so she took the initiative. So I'm gonna be living at this nest? The nest is a shelter, much like Dee Dee's. I heard you met her. There's more room, though. Those who don't have their own safe house can stay as long as they need. Everyone has their own bedroom and bathroom. Are there many people living there? He shrugged. Some come, others go. The building belongs to Vesper. She doesn't live there, of course, but visits often. We hold important meetings in the nest. Concerning things that don't concern you. Well, for now. She only smirked in response. For a while, they found themselves at the right door. Head inside. They'll meet you. I have to go. Before she could say anything, he turned around and walked away, leaving her alone. Well, let's see. She opened the door. And before it looks far better than the depths. So like a regular apartment. He went inside and looked around, not making a single sound. Unless she was completely stupid, she probably wouldn't have left any obvious traces, so he didn't expect to find much. And that only made the hunt more exciting. He touched the cold coffee-stained mug on the table. His palm ached. He stretched his fingers to intensify the pain. The Magistrum had sent him to an herbalist in their employ to heal the burn. If you let them apply a special ointment, there won't be a trace of it left. He chuckled. He wanted it to leave a trace. It wasn't in his nature to run from pain or conceal evidence of his failures. No. The burn would remain and serve as a reminder. His phone beeped. He took it out of his pocket and put it to his ear. Soon. I'll give it a 5. So we got 2 sun, 2 moon, no status, I know, we're poor, whatever, and 1 power. What else do you want from me? Alright, so I went and got my 3 diamonds. Woohoo! Alright, so without further ado, thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down in the description. Looks like episode 4 is up. I just had to make sure myself. So pretty much I'll be working on that very soon. Looks like Vesper asked for a favor is the summary for that one. So by the way, some people were under the guise that I use like walkthroughs. No. I have like huge pet peeve about using walkthroughs. I don't do them. So this is my rule of walkthroughs, is I don't look up anything. I don't look up choices, you know, as you've seen. I have selected wrong things. I never select right things 100% of the time. I do not, for any game, I'm talking any game, I do not like, I like trying to figure things out myself, even if it frustrates me to no end. Now, once I'm to my limit, right, I'll look something up, like if I'm stuck on like a puzzle in a game or something, right? Typically for the visual novels, right, I don't need to, but like if we're talking like Legend of Zelda or something, yeah, no, I'll eventually get to my wit's end here or there if I do ever meet that, and I will look something up very quickly, but that's it. I just want to know like what step I'm like missing. And, you know, then move on, and I close the walkthrough, and I move away from that, right? Every single game, even if it's years old, I will, like, if I want to play a game, even if it's a game that came out like 6 years ago. I will not watch playthroughs, walkthroughs, I avoid spoilers, everything else. Not even kidding, for all those years. Because it's something that I personally want to play. And so, yeah, no, I don't use walkthroughs, especially for any choices thing. I remember when Detroit Becomes Human came out, for instance. I literally and figuratively played that game 4 times on stream live right when it came out, completed each walkthrough, and all I did was choose different routes, different decisions, right? Instead of saying yes, I said no. Instead of saying no, I said maybe. Instead of saying something, I said nothing. And so, literally and figuratively, that's how I do these things. And so I just use my brain, to be all honest. So I was actually surprised some people pointed out, that I may or may not use walkthroughs recently, and there was a couple questions recently, and I'm like, no, I actually go into these things completely and utterly blind. Just because they may be even up on other channels and whatnot, I do not watch other people's walkthroughs. I don't watch other people's playthroughs. And then I'm also kind of like some of those actors, right? That, like, I do this shit live. I don't go back and edit. I don't go back and change things. I don't go back and do anything. Once I'm done, once I hit end record here, and I get this up on YouTube, that's it. I don't want rewatch even my own stuff. So it's all up in my head or nothing. So, yeah. I just wanted to make that clear. So, thanks for watching. Love your beautiful faces. And I'll catch you all later. Peace out.